All right, gentlemen, we went over the rules in that dressing room. I expect a good, clean fight. Obey my commands at all time. Punches here are good. Punches here are good. Any questions here? Any questions? All right, good luck, guys. Remember, I'm fair, but I'm firm. Touch them up.
So Rocky Juarez in his career is fighting the taller guys. It's been something that's been difficult for him. You can only have so much height. He's got to bob and weave, get inside, work a lot, and he's come up just shy in a number of these fights over the last several years. And you get the sense that, yeah, time is running out for that signature performance, and it's needed.
Osamu Saito in a 12-round unanimous decision. And as I mentioned, he's defended that title 10 different times, and a real legend in Indonesia.
And so this is a gut check in a way for him, too. All those defenses since 2003, almost lost the title in his last fight.
Christian probably got that first round. All right, here we go, round 2. This is a boxing match here. You may not see any knockdowns, but you will see excellent boxing throughout. Rocky with a nice tight defense of the green trunks. He hasn't done anything in the first 30 seconds of round number 2 to establish the fact that he wanted to start faster in this fight than he did in the first fight. Remember, the first fight was Chris John in the first 6 rounds and Rocky Juarez in the last.
He has to steal a round or so in these first 6. And that's how he should be focusing on this.
Well, with a minute gone here, it's John in the second round.
Good spring on his feet. Really hard to catch him square.
And, you know, we did the tail of the tape for you, but let me remind you, there's not a lot between these two guys. There's 4 years in age, which doesn't mean anything because they're both in the prime of their career.
It's a good ticket to getting yourself a lead. The John jab, at this point, is almost always out there first.
And Juarez comes in, he sets up in front of him, but he's not throwing here.
Light, which is what Juarez had last time. He need to do the damage early. There was a good right hand by Juarez. And he has to commit to getting inside that head movement and then being in position to punch and then punch.
One of the very best in the world will allow these guys to fight a little bit on the inside. As long as there's a little something free, he'll let them work on the inside a bit before he separates them. Stays back out of the picture, he's got the good view.
The last fight was in his hometown. You come out, it's not your hometown. You've got to fight like you need at least 1 or 2 more rounds than you got the last time.
Well, we saw in the first fight that we thought Michael Katsinas was easily out in front. That one of the judges, a judge from Wisconsin, who I'm not familiar with, Mike Fitzgerald, had it scored the other way, which really surprised me.
Yeah, 8 rounds out of 12. And he's starting to take a chance now with the right hand over the jab of John. We'll take a look at that over the course of the fight if he keeps going to it. At the end of round 3, he caught him, and it may not have been enough for him to win the round, but it definitely set him up to do it more, and he's doing it now. You don't get to that stage without knowing a ton of tricks.
And Juarez's only losses are the world champion, so no disgrace in the losses that he's had. But John, so far, hasn't faced defeat, although he's had a couple of draws. One against the man he's fighting tonight, Rocky Juarez.
The best thing about John over these, based on the second half of the Juarez fight, so let's see how that plays out.
You know, this is a guy, if he fought in Indonesia in a soccer stadium would draw 100,000 people. This guy is a national superstar over there. He does his training in Western Australia, though. Western geographically, he trains in Perth. All right, the bell ends the 4th round. I'm Sheridan here with Dave Bontempo, our principals, Chris John in the white trunks with the blue trim. Rocky Juarez in the green. I thought Rocky had a better 4th round, but not enough to give him the round. So he's really got to start winning some rounds now. This is shaping up very similarly to the score sheets as the very first fight. Sometimes, you know, we'll score based on the way we think judges are good, but that's not the honest call for us. I mean, we're seeing it one way. We can give certainly your viewers that are watching around the world an indication where we think the judges have it. This is round 5, and Juarez not doing enough to win this with only 25 seconds to go in round 5. I think John has had another good 5th round, outboxing the guy. And this is a pure boxing match. Not likely anybody's going to go down. Nobody's been shaken. Nobody cut. Heads haven't come together. Real clean fight and real strategic technical boxing by both men in a battle in which I believe John is winning. The bell ends round 5. John just, really looks to be outboxing this guy to me. And in the first minute of the 6th round, nothing would change my mind.
In the first fight, John was like this, and then just inexplicably backed up. And then Juarez riding the momentum plus the crowd.
Problems with balance, or in most cases, he's like this and he gets back out. The way he shifts left, shifts right, plants his feet, starts with a jab, hand down. He looks supremely confident to me, too.
He looks gangly, awkward, tough to catch. But he's got a nice little subtlety down in that.
Juarez is coming forward a lot more than he did in the first 5 rounds of the fight. And I get a sense of urgency from Rocky. But it's not just aggressiveness, it's got to be effective. And John is very slick defensively. We see and you can see clearly what he does offensively, but watch how slick he is defensively. But Rocky, in spite of the fact that we had a couple of rounds that we might be split on, he hasn't had a definitive round like John has had.
And what he needs to do, get inside and work that body to set up other things, because he needs to slow John down.
And that's the way this is sizing him too, because he's certainly not catching Chris John on a night off either. John is, I think he's boxing brilliantly at this point in the fight. And while there are a couple of rounds, as we mentioned, that could go either way, or at least some judges may have it either way, John, to me, this is a fighter's fight because it's a real technical fight. The fans, I know you like to see guys reeling around and getting knocked down, but you want to see good boxing. This is an example of 2 consummate, professional, terrific boxers. And that's a Chris John round in my book. Here comes the bell to end the 7th round.
So far, through 7 rounds, Chris John is what unflappable looks like. He is so calm, terrific poise. He's put a lot of points in the bank.
Rocky can't try to continue outbox this guy. If I'm him, you just got to turn it into a brawl and hope for the best, because
Juarez being in more of a neutral site here doesn't have a hometown crowd now urging him on and taking him up that extra level. So this deficit is more difficult for him to overcome. He can't get himself into that brawling level.
John nailed him with a nice left hook that time, which spun the head of Rocky Juarez. He had neither fight it down. There's Juarez with a 2-punch combination of left hooks, one to the body and one back upstairs. But nothing that Rocky does shifts this guy. And Chris plants, and look at the amount of punches he just landed. In that flurry of about 6 or 7 punches, he landed 4 fairly hard. An adjustment, doubling with a jab, doubling with a hook, right hand leads. Nothing is working. He hasn't caught Chris John flush with it. I don't know, maybe 2, 3 exceptions in this entire fight, but nothing hot enough to shift him, even to really shift him back. First fight in Texas, in Rocky's hometown. Rocky began to take over here and close the fight real hard. But Chris John appears to be ready to fight to the full 12, which is what his corner guys, Angela Hyder and Craig Christian, had to say. There isn't much left for Chris John in the featherweight division if he gets past this fight. Taka possibly moving up to contested 130, and that opens up a whole different can of worms for him.
Humberto Soto, Robert Guerrero.
That's a really
And even if you don't score, you move your opponent. You make him reload. You make him shift his feet. You do something that he cannot load up and come straight to you. And Chris John has had it going that way all night. Rocky Juarez has never been able to get comfortable, set up headquarters, and go after it.
Rocky trying to be more aggressive here. John a little bit more sloppy in the way he's throwing his punches right now. A little bit more of a fatigue factor for him in the 10th round. Like Ronnie Shields himself said, you got to drop this guy.
The style is setting up. He can take a shot at him at least. Because John is willing right now.
Come on, Chris. Chris, come on, let's go.
I notice Chris John didn't have the strength in the legs to push Rocky straight back that time. But here he comes with a 4-5 punch combination. Rocky right back with his.
A little more wildness from John in this round.
A lot between them with 10 seconds to go in round 10 in this 10th round. John is boxing brilliantly.
They don't want him anywhere near Rocky Juarez. They don't want Juarez to get one shot and take all the marbles.
He actually appears to be slightly more fatigued, at least his arms and his accuracy, than is Rocky right now. But the problem is he's such a great athlete that even with the fatigue state that his muscles are in right now, he's able to tie this guy up. He knows what he's doing. He's smarter than ring and can do enough to try to hold Rocky up. See, Juarez, who's been on the receiving end of so many punches here tonight, like I said, looks more crisp and more accurate right now than at any time in the fight. And with it coming on a bit, you see the crowd beginning to react. They would love to see the man who seemingly is way behind in the fight come on and upset this kid, Chris John. You notice John's legs don't have the real strength that they had in the early rounds.
Are registering now on John, but they're registering now rather than say in rounds 5 and 6 when he would have liked them to have taken effect.
That was an off-balance situation there more than a punch. John doing enough to hold him off, but I think Juarez won the round. A couple of rounds and Rocky has come on. We've given him the 10th and 11th round. Does he have enough to drop this guy in the 12th round, which we believe he needs to, as does his trainer, Ronnie Shields. And he will take a big shot as well. John doesn't have the same crispness of punches or elasticity in the knees, and his heels are a little bit heavier. He's still a well-conditioned athlete and finishing strong.
He's got rounds in the bank. He's expended his energy pretty wisely. This is the attrition factor.
Less than a minute to go for the 126-pound championship of the world. Undefeated Chris John, as David says, appears to put enough in the bank to survive the onslaught now of Juarez trying to come on and finish strong here and try to win this fight. John is very fatigued and might be ready to go. With 30 seconds to go in the fight, his legs look very loose.
He should be hanging on.
He should be grabbing. He's in a bit of trouble, and Rocky Juarez is trying to finish him off. Can he pull off the miracle upset here? John is actually out on his feet. Rocky's running out of time. 10 seconds to go in the fight. John is reeling all over the place, but now he hangs on. The uppercut. He's ready to go, but we're going to run out of time. Here comes the bell, and the fight is in the books. Rocky Juarez almost pulled it off.
Will they give him the 10-8?
I would give him the 10-8 round there.
Let's see what that would do.
Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, we go to the scorecards. Glenn Hamada, 114-113. Adelaide Bird, 119-109. Herb Santos, 117-111. All to the winner by unanimous decision.
and still WBA featherweight world champion, Chris the Dragon John.
Well, without seeing and having the advantage of seeing the judges' scorecard, apparently they didn't give it the 12th round 10-8.